so much, Randy, for being on the Soulish podcast. It's such a pleasure to have you here as a guest. And this is a subject around angels and guides and angelic ministry, and just kind of working with, beings that are not necessarily in our same, like fleshy dimension. And so it's really cool because of my background, which some about, and just coming from a Christian background, and definitely angels weren't, something that was like an odd thing to mention. It was commonplace in our house. We even felt like our dog could see angels walking around, because sometimes he would just like stare off, but it was like he was like looking at something walking, and we're like, we don't see it, but he does. So it's really cool to meet you. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. And it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast finally to talk about angels. And I've done like one little episode on it, but you have like 25 plus years of working with angels and guides. So excited for this conversation.
Well, Whitney, it's a real joy to be here. It was very interesting the way we've gotten to know each other through other people, and a brief time in the clubhouse, if you will. And that first reading you did of me was spot on, and I appreciated that very first connection with you. There was like this awareness and this recognition of me as what I term myself a spiritual sage, and that's a name I've kind of embraced and adopted. And it's then that led to me watching you one Saturday morning on one of your IG lives, and again during a reading you dropped in, and the first thing you noticed, besides standing in my living room, was the presence of angels all about. And that opened the door to us having a longer discussion offline, out of Instagram. And yeah, it was just it's been a joy to get to know you. I've listened to some of your other episodes, and the one in particular that I've mentioned to you was the one with your brother. That was for me only 2 weeks ago, maybe less than that. And getting to know you and him on a deeper level, because there were a lot of connections there that the angels really embrace, and it feels like it's our coming together, whether for this or anything else, was divinely inspired.
Truly believe that. Yeah, it's really cool because I got such a clear vision of specifically 3 is what I remember.
Yeah,
and you're like, yep.
And they are Celeste, Akasha, and Astara are the 3. There's a 4th, Athena, that kind of comes and goes. She's a little, she's here for specific things, and then she's off to other people and support there. And yeah, Celeste is actually my primary guardian angel. And when we talk about angels, you mentioned this as you introed for us. When we talk about a lifetime, I look at for a soul, the broader expanse of a lifetime. So Celeste has been my guardian angel for over 5,000 years. And I know of these other lives that I've lived, or my soul has lived, speaking from this ego body right now and not from my soul perspective. but Celeste has walked with me that entire time and will continue. And it's a joy to have her around and to help other people understand how I even know that my guardian angel has a name, and what that name is. It really goes back 25 years. And when I began my personal awakening, that I was living in the Dallas, Texas area. And by the way, I'm in Austin right now, but I've lived a lot of places in between. And someone had given me a little book called Three Magic Words. And in that book, it led me through a process of knowing myself from a metaphysical perspective, something I had never done and truly didn't really understand the word metaphysical or metaphysics. And since my background is way back in the day and being an English teacher and high school coach, as an English teacher, I was intrigued by the word, wanted to go deeper into it. And that led me to understand what to look for to go deeper into the subject. And that led me to what was then at the top of the New York Times bestseller list, the Celestine Prophecies. And James Redfield takes you through 9 insights that are just as valuable today as they were then. But one of those things is about synchronicity and about following energy. And that intrigued me. And so I started using that when I was, driving around town or whatever. I was led to a metaphysical store that happened to be advertising for a Reiki workshop and Reiki group healings. And I had only recently learned about Reiki through a book that was very controversial at the time, Essential Reiki. And it was controversial because all of a sudden the second degree signs were on print in the masses and was no longer held for the secrets there. But that metaphysical group was led by a Reiki master that did my attunements. She also led spirit circles. And I joined one of those a few months later, and it was a group of about 30 people. And a necklace that I still wear today, not the one that you can see, but underneath here, is one of a spirit guide. Okay. And this has been with me for 25 years and I wear it almost all the time. Has taken in a great deal of my energy. I use it for a lot of different things. But the day I went to the spirit circle, the clasp broke. And this happened in the car before I ever went inside. I took it off, stuck it in my jeans pocket to fix later. Didn't want to leave it in my car. I thought I'd lose it. Went in. About halfway through the spirit circle, Sammy was the lady leading this. She said, "I've got an angel here," and insisting that I introduce her by name to someone here. And so she asked for clarification on who, and was told the person has a necklace in their pocket that they took off before they came inside.
And you're like,
There's no way Sammy saw me outside. She was in,
No.
you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then through a few more questions that Sammy asked, I learned that my my guardian angel was called Celeste, and that we should learn to communicate. And that led me to find the book, Ask Your Angels. And within that, there's a process called GRACE, which is an acronym for grounding, releasing, aligning, conversing, and enjoying. And that conversing, I have changed to fit my personal style. It's a communication. And with Celeste, it's really a communion. So it's a process anybody can learn. Most people already have some form of grounding exercise. The releasing and aligning is about releasing your anxieties, your worries, your worthiness issues around your beliefs around angels in general, but also getting to know an angel and having a personal relationship with an angel. And then the alignment is more of an energetic alignment. It's a preparation, but more importantly, it gets you to a state of relaxed awareness. And once you're there, you're grounded, you've released the baggage, and you're relaxed into it, then you can really start to converse and you learn how your angel likes to communicate with you. A lot of times it's, for me, physical sensations, but also, they'll drop what I call downloads now. It's like a full conversation or information that just lands within me, and then I sort it out over the next few days or whatever. But it's fascinating. It's available to anyone. This is what I call these types of these forms of uh, communication non-traditional, because they fall outside the bounds of a religious perspective,
Belief system.
trainings in, because there are religions that are very open to these. I'll tell you, if you ever want to go deep into getting comfortable with angels, the Sufis, they refer to them as beloved friends.
Ooh.
It's fascinating. Yeah. And angels show up throughout history,
In every religion
in
or
every
belief
religion.
system.
Yes. And not just there, but within indigenous cultures. There are forms of beings that you could only call angels within our perspective. Yeah. So
I think
loving.
it's so cute because you have like an angel meet cute, with Celeste. It's almost like like a little like meet cute is all I could think when you said that. Like, oh, that's so cute. I love it. We can have angel meet cutes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They love that kind of stuff. Okay. I pulled out two things that I've had from this period of time. One is a little like poster kind of thing that was very common in stores, and it has different ways to be with angels. And just to give you an idea, sing to angels. Every time you sing, an angel smiles. And of course, who can forget Clarence from It's a Wonderful Life? And of course, every time a bell rings, an angel gets their wings.
Love it.
Here's a just a funny saying. Angels can fly because they eat angel food cake.
I love it.
Another one is angels can fly because they take themselves lightly. Oh, here's a cute one. Send a letter to an angel. Write it in gold, invisible ink.
There you go.
There you go. Um, you can adopt an angel by finding a picture or drawing one. If you're more artistically natured, they may communicate with you through your art.
Mhm.
And oh, be sure to wear angel ornaments because they love attention and want to be recognized.
I'm gonna go get me a necklace.
There-
Little angel earrings.
And this is the last one I'll read from here. Amaze an angel. Start growing your own wings and listen for the bells to ring.
I love it. So cute.
That was one. But then early in that conversation with Celeste, she gave me a transmission that, would you call it a transmission? It was a communication that is basically a poem that she gave me.
Wow.
And it's
Randy,
called,
don't make me cry.
well,
I
no, it's a lot of fun. It's called
love it.
Angel Dance. And okay, angels dance atop my head. Angels weave with golden thread. Angels paint with prismed strokes. Angels tell most splendid jokes. Believe me, they make me laugh all the time.
Mhm.
Angels speak in whispered tones. Angels blow through brass trombones. That has a very personal meaning to me.
Mhm.
Angels swing from oaken trees. Angels sing in silvery keys. Angels act on God's behalf. Angels play to cause a laugh. Angels kiss a wounded heart. Angels hug as we depart.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep it back. Keep it back. It's like when you were reading that, what hit me was like, even growing up, I remember like my whole family sings, and my mom and dad have led worship like my whole life. So it came really easy to me and my brother. And we all four led worship all the time and sing all the time together. And now that we're separate, obviously not anymore, but every time we get together for holidays or something like that, we will break out in some sort of song. But I remember one worship service where it was just my dad and my mom. My mom was playing the piano, my dad was singing, my mom was harmonizing with him, and all of a sudden there was another harmony. I was like, nobody else has a mic. Like, but that's coming through the system strong. And
Yeah.
it's like the right in between them harmony that like really only I hear, or my brother would hear. But it's something even I would probably have slipped right into. And so I thought I was just hearing it in my head. And then I'm like, nope, I'm not singing it. That's coming out in the audio system. So then I watch my dad and my mom look at each other and make eyes like, you hear that? And so it was like really funny to watch them on stage, like, big old smiles. They know an angel singing with them. And so I've experienced that. And I've experienced a lot of like angelic ministry, a lot of healing where you definitely feel like the shift, and even like things where it's like, that wasn't like an air duct, that just like blew air on you, like you felt something
Felt it.
pass by
Yeah.
you, right? And you're like, no, my hair doesn't just like fly, fly out like that, like that clearly was like something just flew by me. But I also felt the energetic shift. It wasn't just the air blowing, it was like you felt the presence, right? And so I've had a lot of like respect and honor and reverence towards angelic ministry, angels in general. And I love you sharing all those things, because at the same time that they have such a strong purpose in what they do, they also are so fun and so full of peace and so full of joy.
Oh my gosh,
And it
yes.
just shifts things for you when you're like, I know, and I'm going to try not to cry, but I'm already crying. When I was in like the darkest depression of my life, I never felt more held, and more kept safe than when I was in that place and I like needed it so bad. And it's like, you can't see, you can't feel your way out of something like that. And feeling so ashamed and so guilty for being so overwhelmed with depression and suicide and darkness.
Mhm.
And I had never felt more presence around me and never felt more held in my life than in that moment. I think that's why, like, this conversation is such an important conversation, because there is a lot of darkness in the world and there is a lot of suffering, but angels are here for such a purpose, to usher in like a new season into your life, or to usher in that joy and that peace that we need in our lives. And sometimes it's like just that energetic break where you may be not able to navigate. You can't burn 50 things of sage to shift the energy and like eradicate darkness, but angels come in such a powerful way where they can see things that we can't see, or they can perceive things that we can't perceive. And so I think that there's nothing wrong with asking for them to come. And that's something like I'm really acquainted with, because there's been times where I'm like, I don't know what I need. I just know I need it. I just need you guys, like whoever you are and however many you need to come in here and like, just like hack away. Like I need it. So
And they're waiting for you to ask. They're
yeah.
waiting for anyone to ask, everyone to ask. Um, that's their purpose.
Yep.
Yeah, that's their purpose, to support us, to assist us. There, there are realms of angels, and some have other purposes,
Yep.
and they're out there doing their thing. And there are those that are assigned to the earth, there are those assigned to each soul, and then there are the um, oh, trying to find that right term, free agents. That's what
Yeah.
I was looking
Like they
for.
transit, like they really
They'll
just kind of
they'll
move
go
around,
where
right?
they're needed. They'll
Like
go where they're
Athena.
needed. Athena
Yeah.
is a great example of that.
Hmm.
And when one of my other angels signals to her, or I call for her, she's here, and I use a feminine gender when I refer to most, but there are, they're really genderless.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but it's just the one that I've adopted. And Celeste is a name that is that we perceive as feminine more often.
Hmm.
So that's why I use that. But you know what keeps people from reaching out so much of the time is our belief in our unworthiness.
Yeah.
I'm not worthy enough for an angel to help me.
Hmm.
I'm not worthy enough to be seen by a divine messenger. Um, there was a movie made in the 1990s, I believe. Nick Cage and Meg Ryan,
Hmm.
Fallen, and a
Yes.
lot of great music came out of that. But specifically, uh, it was about a guardian angel who was watching over a woman that was going through a dark night of the soul. And he desired to experience humanity on such a profound level and for her that he gave up his wings
Mm.
to come to earth. And it's such a beautiful expression of angelic presence. But I wanted to mention for folks that are nervous, anxious, because of the belief in demons and
yeah,
that kind of presence. There are very easy ways to know when you're talking with an angel. First of all, there's a mature quality. Yes, they're playful, but there's a mature quality
yeah,
in the way they communicate with you. It's peaceful, calm, quiet. There's a compassion in the way they talk to you and offer support. And you even felt that compassion in their presence. They're going to talk with you from a place of love for yourself, of acceptance of who you are. You feel seen and cared for. That's a really big one. When you're talking with those energies that are not angelic, are
negatively polarized is like law of one's term that I'm trying to adopt instead of evil.
Well, I have taken up the use of the term shadow. They come from the shadows, and in truth, the one angel that everybody refers to, and yes, I love the TV show as well, Lucifer. He is the light bearer. He is the light bearer. And he, according to one storyline for Lucifer, he was one of the 7 archangels sent to watch over this solar system, and each was assigned to a planet. Lucifer had the planet Venus. And then there was an ask was put out by God, who will go to Earth and strengthen humans through temptation and see who is strong enough to rise above temptation. And Lucifer volunteered. And that shadow work that he does has been taken to so many places, and we don't need to go there now, but you get the idea. There was a divinely inspired mission that he came on.
And where is that from? Is that in a text somewhere, or is that
it's from an esoteric text, and I would have to dive
look
into it.
Okay.
Dive into
That's
to
very
find
interesting.
That. Yeah,
I've never heard that.
It's a really, I know when you start diving into things like Milton's Paradise Lost and Regained, and such things, that you get a perspective shift on angels and demons. And from one philosophy, the term demon is used for anyone or anything that is not working for your best interest. It's as simple as that. They have their own agenda.
Yeah.
And it's not in support of humanity or humans. And it's not that they're working against or to tear down. They just have their own little agenda. They're kind of in their own ego world.
Service to self, you could say.
Service to self.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I'm glad we're having this conversation is, we're in this state of a paradigm shift. Whether you look at it from shifting from the age of Pisces to Aquarius, depending upon whether you're coming from Vedic astrology or Western astrology, as to when that's happening. Um, Kali Yuga, if you're coming from deep Vedic wisdom. What else is going on? Oh, a lot of people are talking about this dimensional shift from third to fourth to fifth, where
Right.
third dimension has been all about what the world is doing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that shift is happening into the fourth dimension where things are happening for me. But we're going to end up in a fifth dimension where things, the world, we learn how or why things are moving through me
Mm-hmm.
into the world. And we become a conduit, we become part of that divine process. And having angels in support of that is beautiful, because it uplifts and up levels everyone's work that, embraces their angels,
Mm-hmm.
and will um, allow them in on a personal level.
Mm-hmm.
So, starting to preach here a little bit. I'm really not
No,
intending
I
to
love
do
it.
that. I consider myself, when I refer to myself as a spiritual sage, I consider myself a guide, not a guru. Mine is just one way, it's not the only way.
Mm-hmm.
And to offer this from a space of love, and for anyone who has the time to watch this, hopefully a lot of people, knock on wood, um, and just to get the word out there that angels are not to be feared.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I had a question for you in
Yep.
regards to connecting, because your meet cute with Celeste was just adorable. How did you meet your other angels? Did Celeste help with that? Or how did you
No,
even find their names? Like,
what's helped me a lot is I started working with oracle cards from Doreen Virtue. They're called Messages from Your Angels. I'll go ahead and hold up the little guidebook that goes along with the cards if anyone's
yes. And I
watching
found
this.
that on Amazon for everybody listening. So just look up Doreen Virtue, and it's literally spelled virtue. And you'll find her, and you'll find those oracle cards, which are currently in stock soon. So I have it in my cart, people. So get it in your cart so that way you
And
can
I
buy
have
it.
no connection to Doreen.
Yeah.
I have no
This is
reason.
not an ad.
This is not an ad. This is just how I work with them, how I came to them. And within this set of oracle cards, these particular angels have showed up quite often. And I started having my own little conversations with them. And they have joined me on a very personal level. Celeste is still that primary spiritual guide and guardian angel, but Akasha, she helps quite a bit and is really pushing me to jump into developing that ability to read Akashic records and all that. So that's coming along soon. Um, yeah.
And then how did you find oh shoot, what was the other one? The third one, not Athena. I want to say
Astara, Akasha,
Stara.
Astara,
Yeah.
again through the cards,
Oh
through the
wow.
cards. Yeah. And she has a lot more to do with helping me recognize my place in the cosmology and within helping me with specific aspects of my following my dharma here. And what happened after the Reiki, jumping way back to that story I was telling, and I found my angels. I went through all the Reiki attunements, and that led me to want to offer it to the public. So I got a massage license. I've been a massage therapist, and I call myself a body worker these days because of all the things that all the tools in my toolbox, or toys in toy box, whichever way you like to look at it. And that's been going on since 1998. So well over 20 years with that. And I'm about to, I've been taking the last year off, to do my part to not spread anything, but I'm launching a private practice. I haven't done that in quite a long time. And
Wow.
I'm excited about that. And that's coming very soon. In fact, I'm in the middle of website design and preparations to launch on Instagram and all the different media. Let's get that right for an English teacher, that are available to us today. And it's really exciting to share this, and a lot
Yeah.
of what that I'll be offering will be Reiki and things I've learned in the spiritual world over the last 20 plus years. And um, there's I've noticed a lot of, I think we talked about this the last time we talked. There's been a lot of use of the term spiritual bypass to kind
Mhm.
of like a club to beat people around the head with.
Yeah.
And, you know, um, you can use that stuff from a place of vengeance, or you can use it to up level, to really uh, to share compassion,
Mhm.
to connect with other people, and then again, I'm going to use this word, to commune, to really
Mhm.
go into a place of a deep connection and have deep conversations with people.
Mhm.
One of those guides along the way for me was Neil Donald Walsh with Conversations with God, and that whole series of books that has also helped me on my path. That and A Course in Miracles. But the thing that Neil talks about in that conversation is how when you meet someone, there are like three conversations that, you have a conversation, you like the person, you like whatever, you come back, do it again a second time, and then a third time, and now after that you developed a friendship. A lot of times people jump right from that first conversation to friendship, but really there's a deepening that happens in those conversations. You come to a friendship, and then over time that friendship can develop into a communion. That's a really deep and sacred space, and a
Yeah.
lot of people don't allow the time for that these days. And um, it's something that angels want to do with you. um, so have those conversations, take the time for it, develop that friendship, and then I offer to, yeah, allow yourself to move in that space of communion with them.
So important. So important. And they want it, which is like, that's your in. If you ever wondered if an angel wants to connect with you, it's like, they do. They do. So connect. So take the time. And so I think just on a practical level, obviously this is like your method and how you've done it. So everyone has their own unique way.
Yes.
But just to give people an idea so that, because sometimes we are so limited, or we feel like there's like a 1-2 step process, or that this is the only way. But your way may have been really unique in how you communicate. Like you had mentioned, you get downloads, that it's like a bunch of information that then you kind of decipher for a couple days. Sometimes it's in your body, like you get body sensations. Sometimes it's like a mental download. Is there any other ways that they've communicated, whether by signs or things left somewhere that you didn't put there? you know
Yeah, before all this actually transpired in really a significant turning point or pivot in my life, about it was 3 to 4 years before um, I even heard the word metaphysics, or found that little book called Three Magic Words. Um, I was going through my own dark night of the soul, and I was on a drive from Houston to Dallas, out in the middle of cow pastures, as I call it, as you're going along Interstate 45 there. Um, and it was mid Sunday afternoon. It was bright skies, but with those what I call cotton candy clouds, those
Oh
big
yeah,
puffy ones, you know the ones.
love them.
Uh-huh. And
Cumulonimbus.
um, I had the windows down on the car. It was May, so in Texas that's still
I love
tolerable.
windows. Windows, not windows. I love it. Windows. I had the windows down.
Windows, windows.
I love it.
Anyway,
Love your accent.
no trucks around, no cars, which is at this point in time, none going in either direction. I wasn't passing through a town, over a bridge, under a bridge. I was pretty much away from all of humanity, with, on this car trip. And out of, I'm kind of in my head, and out of nowhere, off to the left, I heard, "Let go." Just like that. It was emphatic. It was one time. I mean, it caused me to turn and look. And look around. That's when I knew there was no one around me, no other cars, nothing. No one was out in the median between the north south lanes. None of that. It was just, "Let go." And it took me a while, but over the course of the next year or so, I began to let go of a lot of the baggage, a lot of things in my life that I was deeply attached to. And it was at that point that, when you're sailing a ship on, an actual sailboat, and you have to make those little course corrections, you know where you're going. Well, all of a sudden, I was making a course correction, but where I had been heading was suddenly over here. Actually, it was over here. And I mean, we're talking about a whole shift for my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it all began in that moment of, um, yeah, that communication. And when I go back and I ask, yeah, that was Celeste. That was Celeste.
So cool. I think sometimes there's communication, like they're letting you know something versus they're like almost like a proclamation, like they're energetically shifting something. So it's like it's something for you to also process and obviously go through the process of letting go. But I almost feel like it was like a proclamation of like it's time, like, and it's happening, like this let go season has just begun, and I'm just speaking it out over you, energetically over your life and journey. And really interesting because that's happened to me too, so
Yeah.
I'm reflecting.
It definitely can happen. When I think back to when I was like 5 years old, I was living in Independence, Missouri, and our the housing subdivision we were in was on a hill, and the houses were on terraced steps down the hill. So on one end of our house, part of the basement had some windows. And anyway, it was kind of tucked away out of view from almost anyone in the neighborhood. And I would go there a lot and play. And my mother would find me there and she'd always say, "Why do you go down there?" And I said, "Because she wants me to come down and play with her." I had an imaginary friend that would meet me down there and we would play together. And
Wow.
um, Celeste has told me those were the early days.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a joy for her to be able to be with you for thousands of years, but then, to be with you through your journey since you were so young. It's so, I feel like it's like sisterly, motherly, soulmate-ish. It's such a collective of like emotions that I'm even picking up on, of like the love that she has for you, the admiration, the respect. It's so cool to to understand that dynamic and relationship. And so many of us have that, and we've just not opened ourselves to that. And it's not a shame thing or woe on you, that you're in the wrong. It's actually part of your journey, is to realize, what, I'm not open to this, and I want to be open to this, and I have the desire. And so that's really the whole point of this conversation, is like, it's
And that you're
possible.
and that you're not alone. No matter where you are, you're not alone. You
Yeah.
know, I know you're familiar with human design, and you may have branched into that um, uh, other version of that gene keys. It's not a version of, but it's kind of an offshoot from our gene keys, which is using those uh, reference points, I'll call them, um, on your uh, diagram, on your body graph. But one of those for me is the gate in human design, or the sphere in gene keys, 12.6. And just that reference, gate 12, or yeah, is is a process you go through from uh, the shadow of what is called the vanity, which is about feeling like you're separate from, that your opinions are very important over other people, that yours is the only way, um, and that with this vanity, um, it's difficult to ever develop through what they call the work, or the way out of that, through discrimination, to be able to empathize with other people, because it's hard to empathize when your opinion of the other person, of other things, is more important than theirs. It's hard to be in true empathy there.
Mm-hmm.
And for discrimination, I'm taking us to a place, so bear with me here.
I
Through
am.
this discrimination, it's about getting out of your heart and out of your head and down into your heart, through contemplation of these different, um, of the shadow of this way, discrimination, and getting to a place in your heart of purity, which is getting to a place of childlike wonder, a pure heart as you had as a child, um, and getting your mind in service to the heart. And I think the most beautiful way of describing this purity is to be open to your dreams as you were as a little boy or girl.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the place where angels just love for you to go, to get into your heart, to get into a pure heart space. Um, yeah, um, these are some of the things they asked me to share, and I
Love it.
wanted to be sure that I got this in. Um, that information was just kind of brought to me in that way about 2 hours before we jumped on here. So they've been passing along little nuggets to to share with you, to share with your listeners, and to remind me. It's
Mhm.
always good to have that reminder. Uh, but yeah, they are a daily part of my life. It's a very personal walk. Um, yeah. What other questions do you have?
Yeah, I was actually reflecting and just thinking like, what else do they want to share around just like the work that they do, or what else would be encouraging for people? And I know I got a lot of feedback around the how do you communicate, because I think people are curious with that, like, am I doing it wrong, am I doing it right? And I think basically you've answered that, and they've answered that, that there is no wrong or right way. There's just that getting into that playful state. And I think it's unbelief, right? Unbelief can block us, because then we're just discrediting every little communication. Like, you could have totally seen your necklace breaking as like just happenstance, and you probably did at the beginning. You didn't think it was like a coincidence, like that it was anything significant or was going to be. Who knows if Celeste did that, chink. She's like, perfect timing, chink. um but she used that because she knew that that was is significant to you, and you knew like no one would know that, and that was kind of like a private moment. So I think it's moments like that where we have the opportunity to either have that childlike wonder, and to just believe that there's something outside of ourselves. There's other beings in other dimensions that can cross over, that can communicate, right, that can interact with us on a daily basis, and it's nothing to be afraid of. It's nothing to discredit. And just to be open, because it's, my dad kind of has always said this when he's done ministry in churches. He tries to recognize in the spirit the open flowers. And it's not that anyone's like better than the other. It's just who's open to receive, because they're open. And sometimes there's a point where he knows, I have a container, and I have this much to give today, out of energy and healing and whatever he's doing in ministry. And maybe that's even physical, like, because he's had limitations physically. But sometimes he feels like that, like he feels led to just go to the open flowers. And I bring this example up because I think angels wait for us to open. They're not going to infringe on your free will. They're not going to come in guns blazing, and like scare the ish out of you. They really are going to wait for the opportunity to minister to you, to communicate. And it's not scary. It's very peaceful. And my experience has been very peaceful. But I think just what you've shared in your life and your communication has been really eye-opening, and hopefully really encouraging to people that are curious about the how to communicate, and what it
Yeah.
feels like, what it looks like. I think on another level, just because I know it's kind of a fad, and we're kind of always going into trends, I know, like, you've lived many more years
Ooh,
than
so many.
me.
I've seen this come around, so many iterations. Yes.
Right. So I was going to ask you, if, I don't know if they're okay to answer this live and in person. I don't want to pressure them or anything, but I wonder, because plant medicine is becoming kind of a fad, like, oh, you need to do therapy. It's like 25 years of therapy in 5 hours, and it's becoming kind of a fad of like doing it. People are microdosing and, all sorts of stuff. But I wondered what your angels thought of plant medicine and how we use it. Are we overusing it? Are we underusing it? I don't know if that's helpful for them to come in and to minister or help or guide.
Um, a person's underlying intent. I kind of touched on it with the vanity. Are you doing it for purely um, egoistic reasons, or how are you approaching it more from a pure heart space? Um, I've enjoyed my time with plant medicine. And I have had some very valuable experiences with plant medicine. So I appreciate the question, and um, they are, if you're at, well, if anyone is wondering whether they're wagging their finger at you or turning their back on you because of it, there's use and there's abuse. And when you get into that abusive state, that's when they become concerned because it's difficult to live your path, to walk your path um, consistently. When you gain insights, when you have a breakthrough, cherish that, take that, integrate it into your life. But jumping in just for the sake of,
The
ooh, I
experience.
won, yeah, or the excitement. Yeah, okay, maybe the first time there's excitement. Okay, maybe the second time. But after that, you're getting into a place of becoming abusive with it. Now, if you're doing the work with it to help other people, that's a whole nother thing. And
Mhm.
there are angels specifically for the plant kingdom, for the mineral kingdom, for the animal kingdom, and they're supportive in that way for use.
Mhm. But it's sacred. It's meant to be a sacred ceremony, not something that is like you drink a Coke, or beer, or even water, like it's meant to be sacred.
Sacred, yeah, that's a good word for it.
Yeah, very good. Um, Another question came to my mind because I know this is something that has happened to me a lot where I'll see an angel like in my peripheral, you know, or like in passing or like just off in the corner. But the second I look, it's gone. Um, is there a reason why some people see them? Like I'm pretty sure you see your angels like in the flesh sometimes. I don't know if that's like a daily.
No, no.
No.
And there's a form of soft sight or second sight is called, where you let go of that really strong concentration. And I referred to it earlier. They call it in that alignment phase, you go into
Mm,
relaxed awareness. And
yes.
all of your senses are open, but with your sight, and I'm shifting into it right now. And I didn't know I was going to be able to do this last year when I first started getting on Zoom calls, that my ability to recognize, I don't see colors, but I see the presence of a person's aura. And it's the same thing with angels. It's in that second sight, that soft sight, relaxed awareness. It goes by so many different names. Whatever a person knows as for that is perfect. Um, but yeah, you can shift into it. And where I first started noticing it was around other people.
Mm,
One time when I was in massage school and we were in a day of practice on each other, we were learning some specific techniques. I was getting into this really quiet space, and my I knew what my hands were doing, so I let my eyesight just kind of roam and
mm,
fell on this one other woman across the way. And I actually saw this. It was not a shadow. It was actually like when I see the aura, but it was behind her, and it started to grow up and up and up, and all of a sudden the wings opened up, and I could
mm,
just see one of her angels that was there to help that woman with what she was doing. I don't know why. I didn't need to know why. It wasn't necessary to know why. that's the ego kind of jumping in there and wanting
Our
to
ego always wants to know.
always wants to know why. Uh, anyway, so yes, I do see their presence, and I'm starting to recognize that awareness through Zoom now.
That's so cool. Yeah, because when we were in Clubhouse and I saw what I saw your living room, and I think you were getting a couch, right?
Yes,
Wasn't it? It
yes,
was
and
happening. I was like,
it's there now.
but I was like, I see three, and I just distinctly, I couldn't see features necessarily, but I saw three distinct figures. But it's funny how like we can intuitively and psychically, see them. But I long for like them to be like in the flesh. Like I just like so badly just want to like wake up, good morning, would you like some coffee? I just like it would be so much fun to have that, but and I've heard stories where people have gone to like really sacred spaces, places like up in the mountains, um and been in a cabin, and they literally see light shifting underneath the door, and they open the door. My mom used to tell me the story, and like the guy, I think he was a preacher or pastor, was Christian, and bunch of angels, like 20-30 angels walking around, just having a good time with each other, and they were just hanging out in the cabin, and so he said hey, and they all looked at him and said hey at the same time back, and then disappeared. So like but he saw them like with his eyes, and so I'm like, I know it's possible.
It is. Oh, it absolutely is possible. And I have seen Celeste. Akasha doesn't really take a strong form all the time. And then Astara is shy. Astara is a little shy. So doesn't necessarily like present that way. But Astara is much more, I feel a star through emotions much more strongly.
So
And
there's different forms then, right? They're not all like in like a pseudo human body or all have wings, right? Angels can take different forms.
what we call wings is actually an expression of energy that's coming off the back of
Off
them.
of them.
And their form, they can fully form if they want to, but it's not really something that they feel compelled to do. Um, the Okay, whatever that thought was, it's gone. It'll come back if it's necessary.
Oh,
But
that's okay. Yeah, because I know like orbs like are very common. I've seen that in worship services. All of a sudden there was like an orb or two or three circling, so I've seen that with my eyes before, and I've seen
orbs,
even videos of that.
yeah, I definitely have a couple of pictures of orbs, but they're more of the spirit form. Okay, and they are for the most part not necessarily angels. Angels will just kind of move in, shift in and out dimensionally, and that's but sometimes they do show up as orbs. They'll kind of hang out in those upper corners of a room. And yeah, I've seen orbs attached to people. But now we're getting into actual spirits of someone that is on the other side of the veil, of something that's on the other side of the veil, a consciousness that's on the other side of the veil. Yeah.
Very interesting. It's very cool. I think you would love, and I'll send you the link later, but for anyone who's listening, one of my favorite things to listen to sometimes when I get angel curious is Jason Upton. He has a song Fly that was recorded live. And I think actually it's two angels at one point are singing harmony, and it was only a bass and him playing piano and singing. So, and they have, I think I found like the actual video footage of it one time, but if you just YouTube Jason Upton Fly, it's just so beautiful because you can hear the angel singing even the words. At most of it, it's ahs and, you know, it's vowel sounds, but it's very clear. And at one point when it gets, you know, really dynamically high, you can hear the angel talking and singing words at some point, and literally says, I want you to fly. And like, I can never get it out of my head. It's a really easy song that Jason is he's just singing like what we call in Christian world prophetically. He's just singing like a prophetic song. It's not been written. It's not necessarily a written song that he wrote and then, you know, is now singing live. It just was a time of worship of free flow. And it was on that topic of flying, and God giving us wings to fly, you know, to lift us up.
Yeah.
But when that angel sings it, I want you to fly, and Jason is just singing and he doesn't know that he's harmonizing with the angel. It's like really fun to listen to. But I think that that's maybe what I'm feeling really strongly, is that ultimately we are created as, we are spirit beings, whether you believe you're created or not. We are spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. And so we all have
Over and over and over again.
and over and over and over.
Yeah.
But we all have the ability to connect in a spiritual way. It's hardwired more than our humanness. We are spiritual and spiritual beings. And so I always love hearing that and hearing the angel singing that over us, because it's like so true that we are created to fly in that way. We're created to soar. We're created to go to other dimensions and to experience spiritual things. And I know that that's really the heart cry of probably most angels, is that they want us to connect with them in that way, to soar on their level, to understand what they understand, to see what they see. And I feel like that's oftentimes the call, is like, just come, just be with us, just commune, just have the relationship. And so such a beautiful thing. And thank you for sharing your journey. It's just been a wonderful conversation.
Well, you're mentioning music here, and a song that was, I have not listened to it in a while, so the name of it is not coming to me, but anyone that has seen the movie Pay It Forward.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah. At the very end, there's a scene where a group of singers are outside, Calling All Angels. That's the name of it. Calling All Angels is the name of the song, and it's sung in the very last scene of that movie, by a group of singers out on the lawn, holding vigil for someone who has died. And it's a very moving piece and very, very, very powerful. So, you know, anyone that wants to jump on Spotify and pull that one up and maybe confirm the name. I'm pretty sure it's Calling All Angels, but
yeah,
anyway.
I'll put it in the show notes. I'll find it, put it in the show notes,
There
including Jason Upton, for everybody that wants to listen to that. And
please do. I'm going to check that one out. I think I've heard that before, but
I'm pretty sure you have.
Yeah.
It's really good. But man, Randy, I feel like we're just getting started. But this also is such a good conversation and something I've wanted to talk about for so long. And so thank you, Celeste and Astara and Akasha, for speaking, and Athena for speaking and for sharing. And that's really cool. And thank you, Randy.
You know, I've mentioned it a couple of times, this adopted title, a spiritual sage. I just want to touch on it because it's comes back to you and some of the people through whom I found you that may listen to this, and what has been shared with me recently through various ways, but it keeps coming back to this, is I was born at a specific time in 1955, which put me on a course to experience all the turmoil, all the conflict of the 60s into the 70s. Because of my specific time of birth, I just missed the Vietnam War, but experienced everything that happened here in the States. All the racial tension and everything that happened through the 80s, the Cold War, the ending of the Cold War, into the 90s, and suddenly I'm pivoting, I'm shifting, and I move through the next 20, 30 years with a different lens on everything. But now I'm here, 2021, and I find myself surrounded by Gen X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be very clear about this. I'm not coming as a guru or a leader or like I said, this is not the way, this is just a way. But I'm really wanting those of you who are stepping forward, putting a face out there and a presence out there in a rather uninviting environment in the digital world sometimes, to let you know where the roots of what you're doing came from, so that there's a connection back, not because that was better or that you should be doing it in some kind of linear lineage. That term just came to me. Anyway, but that you're doing so much to uplift and up-level this planet, and I'm just here to be a support for each of you that I'm coming into contact with. And I have, you're doing important work for the planet. And the one archangel, if anybody is looking for an archangel to latch on to, it's Raphael. Not from your childhood memories of a Raphael on a television show, but Raphael, because he is the healer. He is the healer of God. And he is also assigned to planet Earth. And he is here to heal humanity, but he's also here to heal the planet. And if you're looking for ways to really connect with a healing force on this planet, besides Reiki and other things like that, Raphael would be the archangel to touch into.
That's good to know. I know you use spiritual sage, but I even heard oracle, because a lot of times I think our generation has kind of pulled away, and really just the digital age and where we've gone in our society and our culture, we aren't close to even our grandparents as much as like in previous decades. And we've kind of become more independent as, Gen Xers, Y, Zers. And so, but we need that lineage. We need to understand the history in order to appreciate and to honor and respect what the platform is that we speak on,
Well, they talk about if you don't know the history of something, you're destined to repeat those mistakes. I don't necessarily agree with that, but it shifts a little bit for me. Not knowing where you came from, you could land back at that same place and not even know it.
Right.
Or you could land back there, and of course, as the saying goes, know it for the first time. And that's a beautiful thing. But what I'm getting, I think you get what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
All you folks listening to this, you're very wise souls, and
Mm-hmm.
I applaud everyone that is doing what you do, and everyone that listens to this kind of
Yeah.
uh, content. I think that's the word for it these days. And I'm enjoying watching it happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to jump in and suddenly chase all the cats over in this direction and herd them this way. I'm just here to say, way to go. Wow, you are marvelous souls, and just, stay connected to that heart.
Uh-huh.
Stay
Yep.
connected to that heart. And angels can be a very powerful source of guidance for you,
Mm-hmm.
and comfort
Yeah.
and comfort.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's a reason for anyone listening to it. This just popped in my head. For anyone who's listening, this is also a little sign, there's a reason why you were attracted to the title of this episode. There's a reason why this subject fascinates you, or you're attracted to it or drawn to it. I think that right there is a sign that your angels, want to communicate with you. And so this is just the starting point. This is just the opener, which is really cool. So I think this is a really great start in this conversation, Randy, and we definitely need to have more.
I look forward to it.
Me too. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Whitney.
Oh, so good. I loved this.